only 6 of the first 21 FNCS winners are still actively playing Fortnite to this day. First is the winner of NA West, Dog, who moved to Japan and still actively plays in the Asia region as of now. Next is the Brazil winner of Kart, who seems to be more focused on trading meme coins than Fortnite, but he still actively plays. After that is Malfin, who won in the Asia region, who managed to qualify to the most recent FNCS finals as well. And finally is the entire Middle East winning trio of Fahad, Yonks, and NM7, all of whom still play, with Yonks and NM7 even playing the most recent FNCS together and qualifying to Grands. Speaking of the Season X FNCS winners, there is the EU winner of Shinken, who placed first in the one and only Grand Finals he played in, meaning that he has a 100% Grand Finals win rate, the highest of any player, while Kanata has the lowest win rate of any Grand Finals winner, winning only 1 out of the 25 he has played in. Of the over 200 FNCS winners, only 5 have ever won in 3 or more game modes. Jinx was the first ever player to do this, winning Chapter 2 Season 2 Duos, Season 3 Solos, and Season 4 Trios on OCE. Next is Volks, who won Squad Up in CS, 2021 Solo All-Stars, and the Chapter 3 Season 2 Duos on OCE. He could also potentially become the only player to win in all 4 game modes if he manages to pick up a Trios win this year. After Volks is Yana Z, who won the 2020 Solo Invitational, Chapter 2 Season 5 Trios, and the Chapter 3 Season 3 Duos on EU. Following that is King, who won Season 3 of Solos, Season 6 of Trios, and the 2023 Major 2 Duos in Brazil. And finally is none other than Tayson himself, who won Season 3 Solos, Season 4 Trios, and the 2023 Major 1 Duos in EU. And speaking of Tayson's duo FNCS win, it was one of the closest wins in FNCS history, coming down to a difference of only 1 point. Many other FNCS tournaments have come down to some extremely tight margins as well. Despite that, there has never been a tied FNCS in any region over the past 6 years, which is quite insane to think about. Of the 22 regional FNCS tournaments that have been played on EU, only a single one has ever been won by a team with 0 game wins, being Malibuca and Mustache's win in 2024 Major 1. And it seems that winning a solo FNCS on NA East and Middle East is the equivalent of a death sentence for one's own Fortnite career, as Middle East and NA East are the only 2 regions whose solo FNCS winners have never won an FNCS later on in their careers. In every other region, at least one of the 2 solo FNCS winners later went on to win more in their careers. On the contrary, there has been some amazing comeback stories, like Commandments. In Chapter 3 Season 2, he placed dead last with Stretch, mostly because Stretch was halfway out the door with Fortnite at that point and just wanted to grief death in Tabney. However, Commandment was still motivated for more and managed to win the Season 3 FNCS with Avery, a truly remarkable comeback story. Speaking of comebacks, the best comeback in FNCS history comes courtesy of King and Phaser on Brazil, who ended off day 1 of the Chapter 4 Season 3 FNCS in 13th place. A massive 187 points behind first place, but on day 2, he popped off and managed to rack up 437 points, enough to push him all the way to first place, making this the largest comeback in history for an FNCS win. But that is far from the largest comeback in general, a title that belongs to Andalex and Sato. In the Chapter 5 Season 2 Grand Finals in EU, Andalex and Sato ended off day 1 all the way down to 46th place, but rather than give up hope, they did this. They had a stellar day 2 and ended off the tournament in 5th place, a jump of 41 leaderboard spots, but what makes this comeback even more remarkable is that they managed to snatch up the very last qualification spot to Globals because of this clutch. So lesson learned, subscribe to my YouTube channel if you want to be as remarkable as their insane clutch. As of now, the title for the most FNCS wins is now a 5-way tie because of the most recent FNCS, with PH Jin and King now joining Epic Whale, Arkram, and Miro. Will they be the first to finally break past 6? Probably, it's pretty obvious they will. But despite the dominance these players have shown, none of them were actually the first to win back-to-back FNCS tournaments. That title is a tie that belongs to Jinx and Tayson, both of whom won Season 3 Solos and Season 4 Trios back-to-back. Even better is the sheer dominance King and PHN have over the Brazil region though. Of the 22 regional FNCS tournaments played on Brazil, 11 of them, or 50% for the mathematicians in the audience, have been won by PHN or King. While that is embarrassing for the region of Brazil, that is nowhere near as embarrassing as what happened on NA West in 2020. Epic Whale and Arkram to this day are the only 2 players who have ever won an FNCS on both controller and keyboard. Epic Whale was the first to do it, swapping the controller for Season 2 duos and wreaking havoc by flying into people's boxes with the Midas drum gun.
Oh my god! It's Epic Whale!
Well, Arkham decided to switch the controller a year later because NA West was too easy, and he of course won FNCS by doing so. You can even say both of them won an FNCS on controller before NA West controller legend Reed did, so let it sink in that Epic Games split NA between West and Central, leaving the roughly 40% of the US population that lives on the East Coast in the dust. But why dominate a region when you can just dominate the whole world? That is what Peterbot and Poyo did at the 2024 Global Championship, getting the most victory royales ever at a major LAN event. Alex of OCE is the youngest FNCS winner of all time, winning the 2021 Grand Royale at 13 years and 3 months old, so maybe it's time you leave your basement and do something productive. Wait, that's not what I meant. Or maybe don't leave your basement and try to qualify to FNCS in your 30s. A little correction on my last video, but the oldest ever FNCS qualifier is not actually the Japanese player with the unpronounceable name. That title is instead held by a Polish player named Evil, who qualified for it and placed 5th in Squad FNCS at 31 years and 2 months old, so please stop calling me Unk because I'm 21 and make Fortnite videos. Unlike all regions of the world that are typically dominated by 2 to 3 countries, EU has participants from a myriad of countries, and of those nations, the United Kingdom currently has the most FNCS wins, with 7 total. Second place is a 3-way tie between Russia, Germany, and Austria, who each have 6 total. So while the World Cup and Euros may never come home for England, FNCS titles sure do, because we know that Scotland and Wales will never get an FNCS win. Despite Europe generally being regarded as the best region, the first major LAN win for EU was the World Cup duos. Even the 2019 ESL Katowice LAN that was 80% EU players was won by NA players in both solos and duos. But one thing EU can claim is the first ever back-to-back game wins on LAN. In the first 2 games of the fall skirmish, Pate 1K and Dementos won back-to-back, going on to somehow blow their lead and place 7th. But even earlier than that is Vivid becoming the first ever back-to-back tournament winner in Fortnite history, after he won the Summer Skirmish Week 4 and 5. Former Minecraft PvP legend Tylers was the first ever person to get a double-digit kill game in a Fortnite tournament, getting a 10-kill win in the PAX West qualifiers. While Saipan is unanimously loved by the Fortnite community, back in the early days it was actually pretty hated, with Tfue being one of the most outspoken dissenters of it.
People that want health and mass per kill are people that want the game to die.
The 2018 Winter Royale was the first set lobby tournament open to all players to qualify, and of the 200 players that qualified to the finals in both NA and EU, only 2 of them are still active to this day, being Thomas HD and Cease. Cease in particular has had the longest tenure of any Fortnite pro, as he has been playing professionally since the earliest days all the way back in Chapter 1 Season 3, before there were even tournaments, and he has never quit or taken a break, so definitely give him some props. The World Cup qualifiers were originally supposed to happen in the fall of 2018, before Epic even hosted open tournaments and when the age for to compete was still 16, so just imagine how many young prodigies would have never made a name for themselves had Epic not postponed it. One very obscure fact about the World Cup is that China actually had their own separate qualifiers, which would net them 1 spot, hence why some Chinese players were in the World Cup. In the World Cup qualifiers, Stompy managed to qualify to the World Cup in 7 of the weeks, the most of any player. Of the qualifiers, King was the youngest at just 13 years and 3 months old, while Airwalks was the oldest at 24 years and 10 months old, just barely edging out Rux, who is 1 week younger than Airwalks. This also makes King the youngest major LAN qualifier of all time. When calculating who won the highest percentage of their fights in the World Cup solos, Arkham comes out on top, who won 52.56% of his fights, which shockingly even beat out Booga, who sits at a close second with the 52.47% fight win rate. Due to the insane amount of prize money given out in the World Cup, all of the highest earned orgs in Fortnite history are orgs that had players perform well at the World Cup, but what is very unexpected is that Lazarus is the highest earned org in all of Fortnite, who had 3 of their players come out of the World Cup as millionaires. 22 players managed to qualify for both the solo and duo World Cup, and of those 22 players, Mongrel placed the most consistently, getting 13th in solos and 6th in duos, which averages out to a placement of 12.5. Because of the diversity of tournaments in 2019, it was the only year with a major tournament in all 4 game modes, with the solo and duo World Cup and trio and squad FNCS. The most viewed tournament POV is Tfue's World Cup Week 8, which peaked at over 289,000 viewers, and if you had a V-Buck for every time a duo of brothers played in the FNCS, you would actually have 2 V-Bucks. This happened twice when the X2 twins played multiple FNCS finals together, as well as young Calc and his brother Has a Great playing in squad FNCS on NA East in the same lobby. Subscribe and check out my second channel or the other videos on your screen now.